here we have a very cool car from Scalextric, 132nd. It comes standard in analog, and it can be easily upgraded to a Scalextric digital chip to run on a Scalextric digital track, or also, as I've done here, where I have a Carrera Digital track, I have installed a Carson Digital Decoder, and it's perfectly made for Scalextric cars. But this car in particular, you can see the really cool Gulf livery, the classic light blue and orange. But this particular car, it was a driver, owner, I believe, of a Finland Ford dealership. And you can see his name on the car, a Matt J. Kymäläinen, and I'm sure I'm saying that name incorrectly, my apologies. But yeah, this was the 1600 series, the Ford Escort 1600 series, and this car, in the 1600 series, I want to say it was the Cosworth engine, the legendary Cosworth, the BDA, which stood for belt drive, and with the Type A version, and it had an aluminum head and a Kent block, and I think horsepower was somewhere rated between 115 to about 160 horsepower, just depending on how it was set up. But Matty was, he competed, I think, from 69 and just into the very early 70s. And this car is, I think, mostly known for racing at the Brands Hatch in the early 70s. But let's get a closer look at all the detail on this car. And you can see the finish is quite nice. You can see Matty's name here, number 31. I mean, I've seen a lot of Gulf liveries, but this one is unique. I like this here on the side, but just a fantastic looking car. And love the orange inserts on the wheels, just the colors again. You know, if you're even a modest fan of racing, you'll recognize this iconic Gulf livery. But look at the headlights, isn't that cool? But just such a fantastic looking car. But yeah, I have, I'll get into it here in a little bit when I take the body off the chassis. But I have replaced the tires. I'll talk about that here in just a minute. But you can see this has an inline motor, the smaller motor, with the crown gear, the inline motor where the motor is perpendicular to the rear axle. And you can see where you can install the digital chip. As you can see, I said earlier, this is the Carson chip, because you can see the diode here is offset to the left side of the car. If this was Scalextric, that diode would be more in the center per the track. And I have also replaced the braid. The braid that comes with Scalextric cars can be a bit wispy, especially for a Carrera track where you have a wider slot in the spacing for the rails. But I have put different tires, very small wheels on here. The tires that were on here, they were, I don't know how old this car is, but they were pretty dry and cracked, and I just went with some Paul Gage urethane tires. I'll give more details on that here in just a moment. But there you go. Incredibly cool car, the Ford Escort RS 1600, Gulf livery, driven by Matt Kymäläinen, if I'm saying that incorrectly. But let's take a look, get the body off and take a look at the chassis. Okay, so I've got the body off the chassis here so that you can see what's going on. Like I mentioned earlier, it's inline motor, but this is the slimmer, smaller version. I mean, this is a small car, and it's a very powerful little motor for this small car. But I've installed the Carson Digital Decoder that's intended to be used for Scalextric and Pioneer brand cars. It's an easy fit. I say the easiest decoder chip install of any brand. And as you can see, we have a tail light and headlight bar here. The Carson chip, this is a mess. I could trim down the wires that come with this kit, the decoder chip, and but it snaps in, and then the power plugs right in here to this main socket, as you can see. But they provide with the chip, on the chip you see two smaller sockets there, and they provide the black and red wires where you can connect power to the headlights and the tail lights if so equipped. And you do have to, coming off the main power harness here from the car, you just trim, you can see there, the little red and black wire that would normally plug into for the headlights, and then the same for the back. And then you solder them or connect them. As you can see, I've soldered and then covered the connections in heat shrink here. And they provide an extra length of red and black wire. I'll come back and trim these up later. But I mentioned the tires. The original tires were pretty sad shape. And so I found some Paul gauge urethane tires that fit the smaller rim. If you're interested in Paul gauge, the urethane tires, I get these through Slot Car Corner here in the US. And it's a great website, great hobby shop. And they have a really good database that shows which size tires, Paul gauge urethane tires, you know, which car by wheels and manufacturer, the different wheels. So I forget the size off the top of my head, but they fit very well. You know, you don't have a whole lot of room here to go with a wider tire and the small size of the wheel. And I found, I believe it was for 14-inch wheels, and it fit perfectly in a taller sidewall so that you have enough clearance for the chassis here in the back, you know. But if you get too short of a sidewall, you're likely going to drag the track, and you don't want that. So, and I did put the urethanes on the front and trued those down quite a bit, because you don't really need or want the front tires supporting the weight in the front. You just want them there to kind of help stabilize the car. So, but glued and trued is the statement, where you glue the tire down to the wheel, but you know, you can still remove the tire from the wheel later on if you need to. But I know everybody uses different types of tires. Urethane, I think silicone provides a little bit better grip, but I like to sand and true my tires, and urethane, oh, they're so easy to work with on the sand, on the tire truer, to sand the tires down, where silicones can be notoriously difficult to do. So, but you can see the difference in the height of the sidewall from the front to the back, because again, I don't need the front tires gripping, I just need the guide. So there you go. And of course, I did pop out the magnet. That's there it went. That's just a preference of mine. I like to drive the cars without the magnet. This adds a bit more challenge in the way the car handles and drives. And honestly, magnets, you know, if you get multiple cars on a digital track, if you're using the original OEM power supply that comes with it, it adds a heavy load to that power supply. So I still have the OEM factory little power supply on here. I got a variable power supply that I plan on hooking up here soon. But yeah, without the magnet, it just helps the track as well. But there you go. There's the chassis. I may add a slot invasion Scalextric guide, because the Scalextric guides that come, you know, they're meant for Scalextric track, and they're pretty thin, they're shallow, and very short. And on a Carrera track, you know, there's a lot of this going on. So Slot Invasion makes a guide specifically for Scalextric cars to run on a Carrera track, and that guide is much thicker, so you don't get all that slop, you know. So I may do that just to help with the handling, but we'll see. All right, let's get the body back on the chassis and see what kind of lap times we can get. Okay, after looking at it, I am going to go ahead and I've already removed the original guide, as you can see here, and just trimmed it right above the connection there. But I wanted to show the difference in the Slot Invasion guide for Scalextric cars versus, you know, so that you can run on Carrera track. And again, you can see the difference in the thickness, you know, the length of the guide, and it just again, it's designed for Scalextric cars, but it fits in the slot so much better so that the car isn't going to wobble around. And you know, in the bottom right there, the little kit comes with this aluminum bushing that you can, it pops in right here, you know, and then the guide goes in. So it's nice and secure and fits really well. So I wanted to show that real quick before I went any further. So there you have it. Not the fastest lap for sure. Wasn't expecting it to be an 8.7 on my track, but without the traction magnets and the size of the tires are pretty, you know, pretty thin in a top-heavy car. But some more tuning, maybe find some tires that are a little bit wider that will fit on the wheels and within the wheel well on the back of the car. Little lead weight, might be a bit quicker, but this is just a really fun, cool car. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great one.